All right, go ahead and state your name and tell me your ride. What are we looking at?
Brandon Pierce, and I have a World Rally Blue 2022 WRX.
And again, you've gotten so many looks. I see the methods. I freaking love it. You kind of gotten more of a rally kind of inspired ride. What kind of made you go for this look?
Well, when the first pictures came out for the new WRX, obviously all the plastic on it, some of the styling was really controversial. And to me, that just screamed of rugged, off-road, rally, kind of inspired. And so as soon as I got it, I started building it for SCCA Rallycross.
Oh, wow. So you actually have taken this out.
Yeah, my wife and I both have driven it in events in Lancaster hosted by Rodnock Racing. We have a lot of pictures and videos that we've taken out there, and we have a few more events that we're doing this year as well.
Wow, so you've actually used this, given Subaru and its heritage, right? Colin McRae and all those, the things 20 years ago. You've got a chance to actually put this in the dirt. And what would you say? Like how's the experience been and the journey been building the car to a liking and a spec to do that kind of stuff that we've dreamed of 20 years ago?
It's actually been a really fun journey. So I was one of the first people to take delivery of the car when it came out. I did a pre-order, and so I've had mine since March of 22. I reached out immediately to a bunch of companies, Rally Innovations, iBach, MagnaFlow, K&N, Perrin Performance, and I've been doing a lot of research and development with them on new products over the last year.
And so, everyone's driven on the street. Maybe a couple people don't autocross or track driving. What is it like driving on loose gravel and dirt? And I mean, just the experience of traction and balancing all that with the same amount of turns and twists as anyone goes through.
It's hard to explain the experience, but it's definitely bizarre when you have to learn to trust that when you're sliding, that's a part of it, and you actually want to slide with it and just kind of go with it. It's a phenomenal experience. Now,
is Gran Turismo as accurate as it is when I'm driving that thing, or what is that line between video gaming, rallying, and in the real deal?
I think the subtleties in traction change. I mean, when you're in a video game, sure, you'll feel a little bit of traction can change. If you have vibrating controllers or a wheel, you might feel some of that, but it's a lot different in real life.
I can only imagine. Now tell me, what other cars do you have at the house, or have you always been a Subaru guy? Tell me, what's your experience with the automotive culture and the tuning culture?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of different cars over the last 20 years, mostly Hondas, some Toyotas, Acura. My first Subaru was a 2018 STI, which I had for about 5 years. After I got this WRX, I fell such in love with the new platform, I wanted to go for a street look as well, so I actually bought a second one. I have a white one. My wife has a 2023 BRZ that we're also building for SCCA Rallycross, and then our last one is a Miata, the new ND one, the RF Club Edition with the retractable roof.
Love it, love it. Okay, so you have a passion for automotive culture, building. You have some great Japanese cars. Where did this kind of stem from? Was it like a changing oil with dad kind of experience, or I mean, where did you say, hey, I'm a car guy?
Yeah, I actually wasn't into cars or any automotive stuff, performance, motorcycles, nothing like that, until I hit my last couple of years of high school. I changed schools, and when I got there were a lot of kids who had some really neat cars at the time. Mitsubishi Lancers, some Hondas at the time, a lot of really cool stuff, and that's where I got the attraction and excitement.
Dude, a Tommy Mäkinen Evo 6, dude, back in the day, Evo 7, dude, I mean, that was for me, like, with a Marlboro livery on it. Oh, that was the best, man. Now, Subaru has that reputation for being somewhat finicky on working on, changing the spark plugs, I heard, is not very fun, but what have you noticed with the car and with the brand and the way the engine is tuned and its performance?
Yeah, the new FA24 platform is kind of crazy. This particular car, the rally build that I have, is regular 91 pump gas, an intake, and a catback exhaust. And with a Pro Tune on a Cobb Access port, I have a little over 330 wheel horsepower and a little over 340 torque with just a couple of simple bolt-ons and a tune.
And so is that typically the safest? You're not going to be able to blow up something, or what is it? Silicone in the oil catch and all that stuff? I mean, is that kind of all taken care of?
Yeah, one of the problems on the older engines were the valve springs and the connecting rods. The new rods and valve springs on this are way beefier. They can handle a lot more power. There's a couple of shops out there that have right around 500 wheel torque and over 400 wheel horsepower. Those ones are starting to break transmissions, starting to break the clutch, things like that. But very reliably, you can get to over 300, almost 350 wheel horsepower very safely.
That's good to know, especially with the new stuff, because again, you mentioned too, it's very polarizing. People aren't sure of the styling, but you ran with it, and I really appreciate that, because it's a car that deserves our attention. I really do feel, and I hope that more and more people get out there, look into this as an option. Don't get me wrong, all the STIs of yesteryear, I loved the 5-door hatchbacks, right? 2014, right? But I think the new stuff, there's really good value in what Subaru's trying to do. Let me get you to the last question. California wants to transition to electrification in the next 15 to 20 years. What are your thoughts of electric cars and kind of the future of the car culture?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of all electric cars. I feel like they don't have a soul to them. I know technically on paper they have better performance. They go a lot faster. You can do a lot more with them from that aspect. But it's really interesting because we are starting to see EVs actually show up at rallycross events as well and competing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even what is it? Lamborghini's making that little supercar touring. Porsche did it way back in the day. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that's interesting. You mentioned that they're even showing up to the rallying. So we'll have to wait and see. Go ahead and give out any shout outs, plugs. I see your Instagram on there. Where can we follow you and follow your build and your driving?
Yeah, definitely a big shout out to Jeff Perrin from Perrin Performance. I've been working with them for over a year on research and development, a lot of product feedback, things like that, as well as John from Rally Innovations for really helping me with some of the ideas for this build, and we're working on some other projects that we'll see at SubiFest.
All right. Oh, yeah, SubiFest. That's pretty cool. Thank you again for your time. Appreciate it.